Hazbin Hotel is well known for its deep lore and world building. In the past couple years, I've covered a variety of theories, and in all of my time in the fandom, there's one theory in particular that's really stuck out to me. I've made several shorts on it prior to and after the full release of the show, and it still remained incredibly interesting. I've seen people discuss these characters, however I don't think I've seen anyone really do it justice just yet. As a result, in this video I'm going to amalgamate a bunch of past theories of mine into one video. I'll go through each one step by step and show how they're all linked. I'll explain who Roo is, what her role in the series is, and why I think she's the true villain of Hazbin Hotel. Roo is a character that Vivzie first revealed in a doodle back on October 19th, 2019. In her tweet, she mentioned that there is no character that she is more excited to get into than Roo, but she also mentioned that it's going to be a long time before we see her. In the image, we can see what Roo looks like. She has long flowing hair with a red and black gradient. She wears a wide brimmed hat with a similar colour scheme and a checkerboard design. She has chains around her lower body and this demonic creature protruding out of her mouth. There's a bunch of eyes visible and she's also drooling some blood. In 2019, Viv posted another image of Roo, but this time we get a better look at her. We get a look at her overall appearance, including her trench coat, and she is sipping some sort of blood cocktail drink. The text at the top says she's waiting. So from these images we can pretty clearly see Roo's role in the series. She's an overarching villain and is the character Viv is most excited to get into later. This is pretty huge, especially considering that Lucifer and Alastor are two of Viv's favourite characters, and we all know how important they are to the show's lore. A couple more things to keep note of is that Roo's main colour palette is red and black. She's also associated with eyes and blood. This will all be important as we progress through the video. So with Roo introduced, it's time to talk about every time she's mentioned or seen in Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss. In the Hazbin pilot on the clock tower we see some graffiti of Roo. If you compare it to Vivzie's official art of Roo, the eyes are the same, the flowing shadowy hair is the same, and the root imagery shown here makes it pretty obvious that it's her. If you draw red lines on the image, it creates this specific symbol. In episode 1 of Hell of a Boss, the main cast are about to be sacrificed by Martha to the root of evil. It's pretty clear she's referring to Roo based on that line alone.
Satan, we return your filthy creatures back to the pits of hell. May the root of evil remain honored as we continue thy work.
So we know that Roo's full name is the Root of Evil. During that scene we see various demonic symbols and eyes. We also see that specific symbol I showed earlier, again linking it back with Roo. Angel Dust makes this symbol during the Addict video, and we see this symbol again during the Spring Broken episode on the wall. Moving into the full series, we didn't get any specific mention of Roo, but instead we learn about a new character called Eve. It's pretty clear that Eve and Roo are the same character. I'll explain why. So in the intro cutscene we learn about the angels that worship good and shield everyone from evil. On the right we see a depiction of evil, and it bears a striking resemblance to Roo. During the story we find out how Lilith was the first woman and Eve was the second. Lilith fell in love with Lucifer and Lucifer gave Eve the fruit of knowledge. This act caused evil to find its way into Earth. We clearly see Eve turn evil when she clutches the apple, and we see roots twist and encroach Earth. This is pretty clearly conveying how Eve and Roo are the same person. Once Eve received the apple, she literally became the root of evil. We can also tell this from Eve's name. Eve, evil, it's pretty on the nose here. We also see the creation of these evil eyes, which will be important throughout the rest of the video. Like I mentioned earlier, these eyes are closely linked with Roo. They're present throughout all of Hell. It's unclear exactly what their purpose is, but it's likely that Roo can see what's going on at all times through these eyes, so she's spying on everyone. It was because of her that Hell was created, so it makes sense that she can know everything that happens in it. So with Roo's history and role explained, it's time to get into how this ties into Lilith. Throughout the show we find out how Lilith has been absent for at least 7 years. Why has Lilith been gone? Well, we don't get a concrete answer. But at the end of the show we briefly see Lilith chilling on a beach in what appears to be heaven. During the Hazbin Hotel pilot we see various portraits of the Morningstar family around the Hazbin Hotel. There's 2 important portraits I want to draw attention to. Both of these portraits were made by Faustis, an ex-employee and old friend of Viv's. So the first is called Dampnere and shows Lilith in an extravagant outfit with her horns visible. Dampnere is a Latin verb that means to bind or oblige under a will, or seek loss of. It's also the origin of the word damnation. From Faust's original comment when she posted this piece, Dampnere is the name of a magazine in Hell, and Lilith is posing for it. We can see Lilith holding the apple, and she's either taking it for herself or is offering it to the snake. Throughout Lilith's outfit and horns we can see eyes, which reminds me a lot of Roo. In the second portrait we see Lilith again, and this one is called Temptation. Lilith looks quite sinister in this piece, and is wearing a dress with what appears to be slash and lipstick marks on her back. We see those red symbols from before all over her outfit and horns, including a snake. There's a hand at the bottom and it's unclear whose it is. It could be Alastor's or Lucifer's. Again, this piece just really screams Roo to me. In the Hazbin Hotel trading card set, we got cards for the vast majority of the cast. We got one for Lilith, however she was a super rare card compared to her daughter and husband, which were just normal cards. Charlie and her dad both have their surname visible on their card, except for Lilith, again standing her out from her family. Design-wise, the card is extremely weird. We don't get a good look at Lilith, and we see her sitting on a chair with a sinister expression, doing a shush motion with her hand. If we compare this trading card to Eve's expression in the opening cutscene of Hazbin, they're almost identical. We actually see Lilith in the show 2 times. The first is during episode 5 in a flashback. Her face is obscured and we see her take Charlie away from Lucifer. The second, like I mentioned before, is at the very end. Lute says Lilith in a specific tone, almost mockingly, again highlighting that it's not the real Lilith.
You understand me, Lilith?
This is a pretty deliberate choice from Viv. Lilith's face has been hidden, and at least to me, it comes across as hinting that it's not actually her. With all the past imagery, it seems clear that Eve is actually masquerading as Lilith. If we compare Lilith in portraits, she is completely different. She has a distinct hair, pearl necklace, eyes, and a wedding ring. However, with the other Lilith, her hair is different and closely resembles Eve's. She doesn't wear a pearl necklace, and she doesn't wear a wedding ring either. She also wears a different necklace in the end scene of season 1. So, as you might have guessed, the lore is a bit confusing, especially since, at least so far, it looks like the real Lilith raised Charlie for a set period of time, before Eve or Roo disguised as Lilith took over. Well, things are about to get more interesting. So first up, Lucifer makes a joke that he slept with Adam's wife, being Eve. This could be just a joke, but it could also be literal. Design-wise, Roo and Charlie are extremely similar. In Charlie's demonic form, she has different eyes to her father, and her eyes are identical to Roo's. Charlie has a unique nose that's the same as Roo's. They also have the same body type, hair flow, and height. If you've seen Charlie's oldest design, she has a large demonic arm with red eyes, exactly like the eyes associated with Roo. We see Charlie use this arm briefly during her fight with Adam. And last but not least, in religious texts, Lilith is commonly said to be unable to conceive children. So perhaps Eve or Roo was the surrogate mother for Charlie. This explains why Charlie looks the way she does and possesses Roo's powers. It also reminds me a lot of the video game Elden Ring if you've played it. If you haven't, I'll explain it. In Elden Ring, the goddess Marika and her husband Radagon are the same person and conceive several children. Lilith and Eve reminds me a lot of that, in that they might actually be two entities who share the same body. So, either Lilith and Eve share one body, or Roo was a surrogate for Lilith since she can't conceive children. During an old livestream, Viv was asked by a fan if Lilith and Lucifer are Charlie's real parents. Viv's response was, "I can't answer that."
It's being a snake. It's being a snake.
Scorpio Monkey donated $2, and they ask, "Is Lucifer and Lilith the actual parents of Charlie?"
I can't answer that. I can't answer anything about Charlie's family at all. I'm so sorry.
This is again quite odd. Viv normally loves giving hints and teasers about the show and its lore. However, on this specific point, she's tight-lipped. It just further illustrates that Charlie's family isn't as simple as it seems at a first glance. Viv has kept the family cryptic for a good reason. So, as you've seen so far, the real Lilith has been absent for a period of time. So, where is she? On one hand, you have that theory where Eve and Lilith share the same body. However, there's another theory which I think could be quite likely. This being that Lilith is actually Rosie. So Lilith and Rosie are extremely similar design-wise. In past live streams, Viv would occasionally draw Lilith with this specific bit of neck clothing. The only other characters that wear this are Rosie and the Exorcists. In one of the background paintings in the pilot, Lilith is wearing a nearly identical outfit to Rosie. She's a similar hat and dress, and we again see this neck piece. Another thing that can support this theory is that Lilith gives hope and power through music, which she told Charlie would work if she sang to the cannibals. Not only that, but the cannibal town she controls looks pretty good compared to the rest of Hell. Another thing you might have noticed is how much she sticks out from the other cannibals. The cannibals kinda act like a herd of sheep or a colony of ants. Why doesn't Rosie also act like this? She also hints that she was once married. Rosie also comes across as a maternal figure from the way she acts, especially towards Charlie. She really stands out as one of the few genuinely good characters in the Pride Ring, which is quite unique considering the cast of characters we see. For many years there was also confusion on whether or not Rosie was Hellborn or a sinner. This largely stemmed from a statement Fostis made on a livestream when she said that Rosie never died. This could be interpreted as her confirming that Lilith is Rosie, since Lilith never died. In the full series, we see the cannibal people get killed by exorcists, therefore proving that they're sinners. This doesn't necessarily confirm that Rosie is one though, so I just thought that it's worth mentioning. Throughout the show we see Alastor's powers, and they are very clearly linked to Roo. The symbols Alastor uses are the exact same as Roo's. Husk mentions to Alastor that he knows that Alastor is stuck on a contract with someone, which angers him. Alastor is extremely powerful, so the person he's in a deal with has to be more powerful than him, the two contenders being Roo or Lilith. At least to me, it's pretty clear that Alastor is in a deal with Roo. This is interesting because Alastor gets on very well with Rosie, who if you're following this far could be Lilith. Perhaps Alastor is actually in a deal with Lilith. Maybe Alastor gets on with Rosie because he has to, since he's stuck in a contract with her. This would also explain Alastor's role in the series. Alastor being in a contract or relationship has always been baked into his character, which most fans probably don't know about. Back in Zootopia, Alastor originally worked with and was in a relationship with the main villain of the series called Casey. In one art piece, Viv said that Alastor had a crush on her, and in another we see the pair kissing. Casey is an interesting character because she basically operated as his other half. She had the same powers as him, such as shape-shifting, a demonic appearance, an orange toothy grin, and an appetite for torturing people. At least to me, it's pretty clear that Casey was carried over to Hazbin Hotel, but was instead turned into Roo. It makes total sense for Roo to be linked to Alastor and be the source of his powers, a bit like Casey. However, I think the relationship has changed, with Alastor being asexual, so he's no longer attracted to Roo like he was with Casey. Alastor is clearly stuck in a contract he wants out of. However, the inner workings of it probably make it insanely difficult to escape from. It's also important to mention how Alastor disappeared 7 years ago, the exact same time that Lilith disappeared. Maybe after Alastor's battle with the V's, he was injured and sold his soul to save himself. This explains why he wants out of the deal so bad, and why he specifically wants a deal with Charlie, since she's Lucifer and Lilith's daughter. He'll gain leverage this way to perhaps get out of his contract. He sold his soul to either Lilith or Roo, which explains his power and the symbols linked with him. You could also argue that Lilith or Roo sent Alastor to the hotel to specifically keep a watch on Charlie, to protect her or to betray her. Perhaps Alastor is forced to take part in the hotel, which explains why he takes it so seriously, even warning his friend Mimsy that she will either have to seriously live in the hotel or get out. It also explains why Alastor stared at the Morningstar family portrait in the pilot, and why Alastor spawned in right after Charlie's phone conversation with Lilith. Alastor also hated Lucifer before even meeting him. Why did he dislike him if he's never met him before? Well, it's likely that Lilith was bad-mouthing Lucifer to Alastor, so that's why Alastor knows everything about him. This could be interesting later in the series. Alastor starts out loathing his role since he's forced to do it, but perhaps by the end he genuinely becomes friends with the main cast. This would make the climax more thought-provoking. He would have to reveal why he came to the hotel to the cast, and it would be a surprise. Alternatively, he could be forced to betray them, which could conflict with the friendships he's built up throughout the show. So, as you can see throughout the video, these theories are incredibly complex, but I hope you can see how in each case there is evidence to support them. A lot of Hazbin theories are pretty far-fetched and unrealistic, but these ones seem extremely close to being canon in my opinion. I wanted this video to discuss them all in a simple and straightforward manner. I understand it can be a bit hard to follow across multiple shorts and videos. So, what do you think? Do you agree with the theories, or are you a little skeptical? I'd love for you to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.